Scripture offers multiple ways of speaking about salvation and diverse ways of interpreting the cross that do not lead into this cul-de-sac. Up to the Middle Ages, no one way predominated. Neither did the Church officially decide for one over the other. There never was an early council defining the terms in which Christ's redeeming work had to be understood, unlike specific decisions about his person. To this day, the Church in the East sees the Incarnation as redemptive of all creation, and the resurrection of the crucified as pledge of hope for all finite creatures who die. Over time, however, a powerful current emerged in Western theology that favored a focus on sin and the cross. This was a juridical or legal way of thinking that interpreted sin as breaking a divine law. The work of redemption was a free and gracious act that nevertheless required something by way of penalty or recompense on the part of the lawbreakers, similar to what happens in civil society. Such was offered by the death of Jesus, his body broken and his blood poured out for us. This current simply swept away concerns about creation's groaning. In the 11th century, a theologian named Anselm framed up a cogent version of this juridical idea that locked it into place in the Western imagination. Finished in 1098, his treatise, entitled Cur Deus Homo, employed the formidable power of sweet reason to explain beyond a doubt why it was necessary for God to become a human being and die in order to save the human race. The Latin title translates literally, Why God Human, or traditionally, Why the God-Man, or colloquially, Why God Became Human. His argument, called the satisfaction theory, made it clear that Jesus' death paid back what was due to God because of the sins of human beings, allowing divine mercy to flow. I sometimes think Anselm may well be the most successful theologian of all time, for what other theory has dominated theology, preaching, and liturgical practice for almost 1,000 years. Joseph Ratzinger, a critic of this treatise, comments on its influence in words that are beyond dispute. It put a decisive stamp on the second millennium of Western Christendom, which takes it for granted that Christ had to die on the cross in order to make good the infinite offense that had been committed, and in this way to restore the order that had been violated. I invite you to explore an alternative to Anselm's influential theology. Drawn from a wide range of biblical sources, this alternative envisions the living God actively accompanying the world in its evolutionary and historical breakthroughs, its human sinfulness, and its universal suffering and death, with overflowing mercy that endures forever. Such a theology of accompaniment is but one way to understand redemption that will support planetary solidarity and work for eco-justice. A reader may walk along, knowing that there are also other trails. Anselm's treatise is written in a winning style. I decided to adopt his style in order to present this I am with you to deliver you view of redemption with verve and ease for the reader. Since I will be working out a different way of thinking about the subject, I will not follow the steps of his argument in sequence. But the pattern Anselm established will show itself in at least 4 ways. Structurally, Cur Deus Homo is divided into 2 books, each with about 24 short chapters that add up to a total of 47. For the sake of clarity in the reader's mind, I employ a greater number of books with titles that indicate their content. Each book will have fewer chapters, however, so that the overall number of chapters remains about the same. Footnotes had not yet been invented in Anselm's day, so I will use them sparingly, but will give proper recognition to a wealth of sources at the end. In addition to adapting his structure, I have employed